By the Waters of Babylon by Stephen Vincent Beignet, Part 2. It is 8 suns' journey to the east, and a man passes by many dead places. The forest people are afraid of them, but I am not. Once I made my fire on the edge of the dead place at night, and next morning in the dead house, I found a good knife, a little rusted. That was small to what came afterward, but it made my heart feel big. Always when I looked for game, it was in front of my arrow, and twice I passed hunting parties of the forest people without their knowing. So I knew my magic was strong and my journey clean in spite of the law. Toward the setting of the 8th sun, I came to the banks of the great river. It was half a day's journey after I had left the God road. We do not use the God roads now, for they are falling apart into great blocks of stone, and the forest is safer going. A long way off, I had seen the water through trees, but the trees were thick. At last I came out upon an open place at the top of a cliff. There was the great river below, like a giant in the sun. It is very long, very wide. It could eat all streams we know and still be thirsty. Its name is Odasun, the sacred, the long. No man of my tribe had seen it, not even my father the priest. It was magic, and I prayed. Then I raised my eyes and looked south. It was there, the place of the gods. How can I tell what it was like? You do not know. It was there in the red light, and they were too big to be houses. It was there with the red light upon it, mighty and ruined. I knew that in another moment that gods would see me. I covered my eyes with my hands and crept back into the forest. Surely that was enough to do. And live? Surely it was enough to spend a night upon the cliff. Forest people themselves do not come near. Yet all through the night I knew that I should have to cross the river and walk in the places of the gods, although the gods ate me up. My magic did not help me at all. And yet there was a fire in my bowels, a fire in my mind. When the sun rose, I thought, my journey has been clean. Now I will go home for my journey. But even as I thought so, I knew I could not. If I went to the place of the gods, I would surely die. But if I did not go, I could never be at peace with my spirit again. It is better to lose one's life than one's spirit, if one is a priest and the son of a priest. Nevertheless, as I made the raft, tears ran out of my eyes. The forest people could have killed me without fight, if they had upon me then, but they did not come. When the raft was made, I said the sayings for the dead and painted myself for death. My heart was cold as a frog and my knees like water, but the burning in my mind would not let me have peace. As I pushed the raft from the shore, I began my death song. I had the right. It was a fine song. I am John, son of John, I sang. My people are the hill people. They are the men. I go into the dead places, but I am not slain. I take the metal from the dead places, but I am not blasted. I travel upon the god roads, and I am not afraid. Iya. I have killed the panther, I have killed the fawn. Iya. I have come to the great river. No man has come here there before. It is forbidden to go east, but I have gone. Forbidden to go on the great river, but I am there. Open your hearts, you spirits, and hear my song. Now I go to the place of the gods. I shall not return. My body is painted for death and my limbs weak, but my heart is as big as I go to the place of the gods. All the same, when I came to the place of the gods, I was afraid. Afraid. The current of the great river is very strong. It gripped my raft with its hands. That was magic, for the river itself is wide and calm. I could feel even spirits about me. In the bright morning, I could feel their breath on my neck as I was swept down the stream. Never have I been so much alone. I tried to think of my knowledge, but it was a squirrel's heap of winter nuts. There was no strength in my knowledge any more, and I felt small and naked as a new hatched bird alone upon the great river, the servant of the gods. Yet, after a while, my eyes were opened and I saw. I saw both banks of the river. I saw that once there had been god roads across it, although now they were broken and fallen like broken vines. Very great they were, and wonderful and broken. Broken in the time of the great burning when the fire fell out of the sky, and always the current took me near to the place of the gods. and the huge ruins rose before my eyes. I do not know the customs of rivers. We are the people of the hills. I tried to guide my raft with the pole, but it spun around. I thought the river meant to take me past the place of the gods and out into the bitter water of the legends. I grew angry. Then my heart felt strong. I said aloud, I am priest and son of priest. Gods heard me. They showed me how to paddle with the pole on one side of the raft. The current changed itself. I drew near to the place of the gods. When I was very near, my raft struck and turned over. I could swim in our lakes. I swam to the shore. There was a great spike of rusted metal sticking out into the river. I hauled myself up on upon it and sat there panting. I had saved my bow and 2 arrows and a knife I found in a dead place, but that was all. My raft went whirling downstream toward the bitter water. I looked after it and thought trod me under, if it had trod me under, or at least I would be safely dead. Nevertheless, when I had dried my bowstring and restrung it, I walked forward to the place of the gods. It felt like ground underfoot. It did not burn me. It is not true what some of the tales say, that the ground there burns forever, for I have been there. Here and there were the marks and stains of the great burning. On the ruins, that is true, but they were old marks and old stains. It is not true either what some of our priests say, that it is an island covered with fogs and enchantments. It is not. It is a great dead place, greater than any dead place we know. Everywhere in it there are god roads, though most are cracked and broken. Everywhere there are ruins of the high towers of the gods. How shall I tell what I saw? I went carefully, my strong bow in my hand, my skin ready for danger. There should have been the wailings of spirits and the shrieks of demons, but there were not. It was very silent and sunny where I had landed. The wind and the rain and the birds that dropped seeds had done their work. The grass grew in the cracks of the broken stone. It is a fair island. No wonder the gods built there. If I had come there, a god, I also would have built. How shall I tell what I saw? The towers are not all broken. Here and there one still stands, like a great tree in a forest, and the birds nest high. But the towers themselves look blind, for the gods are gone. I saw a fish hawk catching a fish in a river. I saw a little dance of white butterflies over a great heap of broken stones and columns. I went there and looked about me. There was a carved stone with cut letters broken in half. I can read letters, but I could not understand these. They said, Ubi Trias. There were also the shattered image of a man or a god. It had been made of stone, and he wore his hair tied back like a woman's. His name was Ashing. As I read on the cracked half of a stone, I thought it wise to pray to Ashing, though I do not know the god. How shall I tell what I saw? There was no smell of a man left on stone or metal, nor were there many trees in that wilderness of stone. There were many pigeons, but nesting and dropping in the towers, the gods must have loved them. Or perhaps they used them for sacrifices. There are wild cats that roam the god roads, green-eyed, unafraid of man. At night they wail like demons, but they are not demons. The wild dogs are more dangerous, for they hunt in a pack, but them I did not meet till later. Everywhere there are carved stones, carved with magical numbers of words. I went north. I did not try to hide myself when a god or a demon saw me when I would die, but meanwhile I was no longer afraid. My hunger for knowledge burned in me. There was so much that I could not understand. After a while, I knew that my belly was hungry. I could have hunted for meat, but I did not hunt. It is known that the gods did not hunt as we do. They got their food from enchanted boxes and jars. Sometimes these are still found in the dead places. Once, when I was a child and foolish, I opened such a jar and tasted it and found the food sweet. But my father found out and punished me for it strictly, for often the food is death. Now, though I had long gone past what was forbidden, and entered the likeliest towers, looking for the food of the gods, I found it at last in the ruins of the great temple in the mid-city. A mighty temple. It must have been, for the roof was painted like the sky at night with its stars that much. I could see through the colors were faint and dim. I went down into the great caves and tunnels. Perhaps they kept their slaves there. But when I started to climb down, I heard the squeaking of rats, so I did not go. Rats are unclean, and there must have been many tribes of them from the squeaking. But near there, I found food in the heart of a ruin. Behind a door that still opened, I ate only fruits from jars. They had very sweet taste. There was a drink, too, in bottles of glass. The drink of the gods was strong and made my head swim. After I had eaten and drunk, I slept on the top of a stone, my bow at my side. When I woke, the sun was low. Looking down from where I lay, I saw a dog sitting on his haunches. His tongue was hanging out of his mouth. He looked as if he were laughing. He was a big dog, with a gray-brown coat as big as a wolf. I sprang up and shouted at him, but he did not move. He just sat there as if he were laughing. I did not like that. When I reached for a stone to throw, he moved swiftly out of the way. Out of the stone. He was not afraid of me. He looked at me as if I were meat. No doubt I could have killed him with an arrow, but I did not know if there were others. Moreover, night was falling. I looked about me. Not far away there was a great broken god road leading north. The towers were high enough, but not so high, and while many of the dead houses were wrecked, there were some that stood. I went toward this god road, keeping to the heights of the ruins, while the dog followed. When I had reached the god road, I saw that there were others behind him. If I had slept later, he would have come upon me asleep and torn out my throat. As it was, they were sure enough me. They did not hurry. When I went into the dead house, they kept watch at the entrance. Doubtless they thought they would have a fine hunt. But a dog cannot open a door, and I knew from the books that the gods did not like to live on the ground, but on high. I had just found a door I could open when the dogs decided to rush. Ha! They were surprised when I shut the door in their faces. It was a good door of strong metal. I could hear their foolish baying beyond it, but I did not stop to answer them. I was in darkness. I found stairs and climbed. There were many stairs, turning around till my head was dizzy. At the top was another door. I found the knob and opened it. I was in a long, small chamber. On the one side of it was a bronze door that could not be opened, for it had no handle. Perhaps there was no magic word. There was a magic word to open it, but I did not have the word. I turned to the door in the opposite side of the wall. The lock of it was broken, and I opened it and went in.